Hey y'all, it's Alex and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be running through all of the supplies that I will be using for Inktober and kind of ironing out my process before anything really gets started. I'm also going to kind of be picking which paper I'm going to be using in this video. I've been going back and forth on this for a little while, but we'll get to that in a moment. So over on my Instagram, I posted a story asking for opinions on whether or not I should do black and white for this year's Inktober or any color that I wanted. Last year, I started off doing all black and white, and then I moved later into doing just kind of whatever colors I felt like, and it felt really uncohesive. So this year I want to try to stick with a little bit more of a theme. So the vote over there was that I should do any color I feel like. However, Cloudless Night made the suggestion to do black and white with a pop of color when the poll was still at 50-50. So I'm going to be going along with that idea because I actually really like that, and I'm going to be picking out the colors for each day in this video, and we will move to that later. The items in front of you here are kind of like my usual go-to items. Obviously, I have my Sakura Pigma liners. The one that I use most often is the 05, and I tend to also grab next most for the 005 and the 08. But for Inktober, I usually also have around the 3, 2, 1, and brush pens. I like the variability of these nibs, and in one of my other videos I've probably just posted, I mentioned how I like using this brush nib to make like action line textures and so on and so forth, so you will be seeing these quite often. I'm probably just going to be using a normal mechanical pencil and my eraser, though I might get a different eraser. I've noticed that at least on the watercolor paper I use and on my Illo sketchbook paper, this eraser actually takes up this the Sakura Pigma ink a little bit. I'm going to be testing out a few different erasers soon here, hopefully. So another thing I like to use pretty commonly for Inktober is this compass. I actually got this for my structural geology class in college, and I'm gonna see whether or not I can get some new nibs because all of them are this really worn down point and I can't really sharpen these very well. But having this to do some more perfect circles just makes the pieces feel a little bit more clean. This is a Tombow Mononoke eraser just for getting in those fine detail points, and I will be doing most of my highlighting with this what's the millimeterage? It's a 0.7 millimeter white Posca pen. For the actual meat and potatoes of each piece, I'm going back and forth on whether or not I want to do it in pencil shavings. I'm going back and forth between whether or not I want to do it in watercolors and inks, and I feel like it's going to differ from piece to piece because I'm going to be picking between a few different types of inks and watercolors for each piece. So every day's piece is going to have one randomly selected color from all of those. So we'll be going back and forth between these two. For brushes, I'm probably going to stick with these. These are actually the brushes that I've had since I started my channel, with the fun broken points at the end because they used to be stupidly long. For a few years I used the watercolor brush pens that you fill with water and then use to pick up ink, or you fill them with ink and then you use that to apply. I don't particularly enjoy those. I don't feel like I have a lot of control over how much water or how much ink I put out. So I have thrown those to the wayside and I'm sticking with normal brushes. So the main types of mediums I'm going to be using is the Ecoline watercolor bottles, Liquitex acrylic inks, or the Bombay India inks. So I'm gonna be kind of like cycling through all of them. If I pick for the day's color a watercolor, I will probably stick with watercolor for the other colors. If it's a certain color or if the piece demands it, I will use the Liquitex ink just so that way the watercolor doesn't run with the black and so on and so forth. Now, moving on to paper. I know I've said this in a few videos now, I'm starting to not be happy with the paper in the Illo sketchbook. Let me just find a clean page at the back here. So we're gonna go in with an ink and a watercolor. If we go in with the Carbon Black Liquitex ink, just straight to the paper. This one usually covers pretty well. When you shear out the color, it pebbles a lot. And if we flip to the other side, we have bleed through. I didn't have this problem on my last Illo sketchbook, and I'm sure many other artists have covered this. For a watercolor, let's go in with kind of like a bright medium tone. Let's go in with this Ecoline in light orange. And you can see now as it's starting to dry that this is really settling into the paper weird. I'll show you in a minute what it looks like on Canson watercolor paper, and it does not look like that. See, where I left it to sit for a little too long, it just sucked into the paper so weird, and it pills up and looks really granularly. I don't know if those are any words that actually describe watercolors in official terminology, but I don't think I'm going to be doing my Inktober on my Illo sketchbook paper, and besides, I only have 9, 10, 11, 12 pages left now that I've swatched this one. Oh hey, I picked Halloween colors, I didn't even realize. Funny. So, because of this texture that both of these mediums give in the Illo sketchbook, I won't be using it for this year, and I do have a second one, but I've actually been using it more as a bullet journal than as a sketchbook. I am going to be testing out very soon a new sketchbook. This is the B Paper Company Super Deluxe Mixed Media sketchbook. The paper is pretty thick, and it's a little bit rougher than that of the Illo sketchbook. Let me open to a smooth page. So, the paper is also a little bit more cream toned. It almost feels as thick, but we'll see how it goes. I've already done a little bit of swatching in the back here, but let me do some fresh swatches. This is a gold Posca pen, this is a Copic, this is one of my Ecolines. We'll just go in with the same ink and watercolor. So, ink first. Let's see how it handles this. So, just for comparison, there is a little bit of pebbling here, but the color very much looks brighter. This is still drying over here, so I'll give that the benefit of the doubt that it will dull down a little bit, but between the sheared out sections, this looks very much more true to every other time I've swatched this color, which is Ecoline 236. Now that this has been sitting here for a little bit longer, you do see there is some pebbling. So I don't know if I particularly use a bunch of watercolor in this sketchbook paper, but I mean, it's mixed media paper, so it's not 100% meant for watercolor. On the back side, yeah, the bottom one here, where I left it to sit a little longer for the watercolor, it has bled through an amount. But the ink looks like it's pretty good. I would use ink in the sketchbook again. I'm unsure whether or not I want to have them inside of a square sketchbook. I did buy this square version of the e-paper sketchbook purely because I absolutely adore sketching in the Illo sketchbook square format. This was the first sketchbook I've had in a square format, and I am downright addicted to it. The paper made me search for other options, and I am looking forward to actually sketching this. Once I finish this sketchbook, I will be filming a video actually doing the first pieces in this sketchbook. However, I don't think I'm going to be doing Inktober in here, which just leaves my Canson watercolor paper. This is the 140 weight. I have a second pad of this in a different format. This is the L'Aquarelle Canson Héritage. This is the normal watercolor Canson, so on and so forth. I haven't used this, but I bought it thinking that it was 300 pound paper when I saw 300 grams per meter squared, which is just the density. It also sucks that I didn't notice, but this is 20 sheets. This one was 30 sheets. This I bought for $15. This I bought for $25. So I'm not exactly happy with this paper. I haven't drawn on it yet, but that's also because the texture is also much more evident on this paper as opposed to on the normal watercolor Canson. It's at least more uniform here, and I don't know how to feel about that. I have this set of 30 sheets and also, well, most of a set of 30 sheets. This one's almost dead. But I have another one of these, so I'll probably be sticking to these and cutting them down to an 8.5 by 11 format instead of keeping them at the 9 by 12. And I like keeping them in the 8.5 by 11 format to keep them in here. This binder is my Inktober binder. I keep all of my loose format pieces in binders, including this massive monster, which includes most of my pieces from most of this year. 2017's I did on Canson mixed media paper, and it's a little bit thinner, but it still takes the acrylic inks very well. I have considered going back to that paper, but I find it's a little too thin to use with my other mediums, and I don't particularly like how it takes watercolor. Then I switched over to watercolor paper, and I'm pretty sure this is a 7 by 9, 7 by 11, 7 by something. This is the paper I will probably be using this year as well. It got a little bunch together at the bottom, but we have every day. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and write out every prompt day. And then I have a whole bunch of cards for all of these different inks and watercolors around, and we're going to hand pick every day, kind of in the same way that I do my randomly generated character designs, except for just gonna pick the colors. I will admit that I've done a little bit of pre-thinking for what I'm going to be doing for each of these pieces. I've got to say, of all of these words that are on this list this year, ripe, day 31, is probably my least favorite. Like, of all the words to end the month on, why would you pick ripe? I swear to God, if, like, for some of these, I'm kind of hoping to pick up different colors. Like, if we don't get a blue for Freeze, that's going to be very interesting. I could just pick which colors I think would fit along with this. Like, if I had to pick any for day one, I'd probably pick Sand Yellow from the Eco lines. I feel like I want to challenge myself a little bit more. Doing just these word prompts has already proved that it's not that much of a challenge for me. So I want to make myself stretch even a little further. It's already going to be a challenge to do vlogs every day. I'm a glutton for punishment, and I want to test myself. One thing I don't think I've mentioned in any of the times that I've talked about Inktober, last year I did whatever topics kind of came to mind depending on the day. And at the end of Inktober, I looked back and was like, I wish I had been a little bit more cohesive. So this year, I mean, I said that a lot about last year because I tried doing whatever I wanted just to make sure that I'd be able to get through the entire time, and that worked. But at the end, I don't know if I was as happy with it. So this year, all of my pieces for this year are going to be focusing on witches. So, like, obviously Enchanted and Dragon are going to be easier to make for witches, but Bait is going to be interesting. Funny enough, Enchanted was the one that I was, like, the most unsure about what I was going to do for it. A few pieces might end up just being, like, typical Halloween pieces, but, I mean, we'll see what ends up coming to mind for each day. I want to keep a witch's theme kind of prevalent throughout. Okie dokes. So we have all of our options here, or all of our prompts. So let's go through. I think in this bunch I also have some of my fine tech colors. I'm going to be excluding all of these just because they're too sheer to really stand on their own, but I will be including these and my entire palette of golds, which I'm really excited for, because I rarely use them for whatever reason. I usually stick to my my Sakura Jelly Roll in metallic gold. All right, into the bag of devouring they go. A shake for good measure. All right, for day one ring, we have... I had one and I dropped it. Ooh, okay. That is actually pretty perfect. This is the second in my Fine Tech Gold, this one. I'll be able to swatch that in a moment. To make these really opaque, you gotta let the water sit in here for a good few minutes, so that way it permeates down into the pigment. So just so we don't have this color pop back up again, I'm going to be taking it out of the pile, and let's keep going. Mindless gets... oh wow, yellow ochre. We're starting off very yellow here. Not that I'm complaining, mind you. Oh man, this one's stuck. And ignore the blotch there. Day 3 bait, crimson from the Bombay India Inks. Day 4 freeze, red violet from the Bombay India Inks. Wow. I'm just not picking watercolors for whatever reason. It knows that I don't work well with them. And I promise I'm trying. Build. Finally an eco line. And we have another red. Oh man, this is my favorite eco line, so I am pretty happy about that. Ooh, and this will be a nice brick red. That'll be fun. Husky. Eco line 311. Let's see whether or not this is ready to be swatched. I think it is. All right. Enchanted. Ecoline 416, which is sepia, however you want to pronounce that. Yeah. Well, at least this color palette thus far is very autumny. Like, 'tis the season, right? Watch as this one breaks it. So number 8, Frail. I like how Enchanted was the only one that got a really, it got a really dark color. So number 8, Frail is, oh my god. Okay. Ecoline 440. Nice chocolatey brown there. Swing. I'm gonna run out of autumn colors someday. Fine Tech Multi 2, and this is a nice coppery gold. That swatch got a little big, but we will live with it. Have you ever seen something that screamed more autumn? Like, come on. All right, pattern. Are we going to break the pattern? Oh my god, we are. I swear to you guys, oh my god. All right, our first break. Snow. Oh boy. Fantastic. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I like this. Alright. Alright, dragon. Ooh, that is so fitting. This is a metallic red Fine Tech. A fitting color for a dragon. Ash. So, Ecoline 236. This is the orange we tested out on both of those other papers. Nice, bright for something so, desolate in a topic. I'm kind of hoping for a green for overgrown. Still have one more. Chances aren't good. Nah. Alright. Got a pink. Ecoline 337. And this is magenta. Alright. Legend. Ooh. My Liquitex Prussian Blue. This is like the smallest population I have of all of my inks, the Liquitex acrylic inks. Now let's see. Wild. Got Aqua. From Bombay. Well, these are actually Dr. P.H. Martin's, not Bombay. I just realized I've been saying Bombay this whole video. It's not a bad color for Wild. Alright, ornament. Let's go with this one. Ooh! I can work with that. Misfit. Ecoline 259. Awesome! I've been hoping to use this color. It's 416. There we go. Cool. Now we're back on the autumny track. Took us so long to get a mustard yellow. Right. Sling gets... Ooh! Second yellow in a row. Ecoline 205. I believe that's lemon yellow. Yep, lemon yellow. Alright, so Tread. This is actually my custom Liquitex ink. For Inktober a few years ago, I decided that I wanted to do a whole lot of blood texture, so I mixed my Carbon Black and my Naphthol Crimson into this custom blood red, and this is probably my favorite colors. This is what I put At the beginning of my channel, most of my branding was this kind of like dusty blood red color. Also putting my hand directly into my other swatch. Woohoo. God. You know, it's like I need to wait for it to dry or something, you know? Alright. It's a little janky, but we will work with it. There's a Liquitex Custom Treasure, which I find it a little weird that Tread and Treasure are right after each other. Ooh. The blandest color. This is the Bombay Sepia. Between the two browns it could have picked, I'm glad that it was the sepia, because the Van Dyke brown is the shittiest color in this entire set. Its texture is absolutely funky, and I still have no idea what is wrong with it. This one I actually pulled in a 3-color challenge with golden, yellow, and tangerine, and it ended up actually making a really cool piece. I will link it in the top corner if you want to go check that one out. Unfortunately, that piece did end up falling victim to my phone deciding to absolutely destroy that footage, so I only have part of that challenge. I do rectify that with another challenge, but if you want to see that final piece, it's over in that video. So Ghost, come on, something bright, something cheery. All right, Ecoline 533, which I'm pretty sure is indigo. Yes. Welp. Let's just shear this out so I know actually which color I'm looking at. Ancient. Tangerine. Okay. Dizzy. Ecoline 507. Which is honestly my least favorite Ecoline. I just find that the color tends to blotch. It's also a weird mix between blue and purple, and I don't know how to feel about it. So, alright, get out of here. Alright, so Tasty. We are 6 away. Ooh, okay. Ecoline 548. If Tangerine hadn't popped in there, that would be a beautiful trio back to back. But, all right, for dark, please give me something dark. Or give me something very light. Okay, turquoise. I can deal with that. That's aqua again. There's turquoise. It does sheer out a lot more than it does at full pigmentation, but we'll just leave it. So coat. Okay, Ecoline 374. A nice skin tone color there. Right, Ride, day 28. We have Fine Tech Gold number 5. This is kind of like more of a champagne gold. Injured. Man, we've already gotten most of our reds. Okay, so this is Ecoline 522. Catch. Awesome. So this is Ecoline 390. I just saw it. Where'd it go? Last one. Ah, oh, so close to the end. Okay. Wait. I have so many questions. I already pulled this one. I guess it got put back in somehow? Let me just... Alright, picking again. Alright, our last one is the Liquitex in Yellow Medium Azo. Alright. No! Tragedy has struck. Huh, that kind of looks like a beach. Just gonna... Well, this sheet is an utter mess. So is my desk. But we will live with it. Alrighty guys, thank you for coming and hanging out with me while I pick out all of my utensils for this upcoming Inktober. I'm really excited to get started and I'm hoping you guys are as well. If you're planning on doing Inktober, I wish you all the luck in the world, like I probably said last time I mentioned it. And I hope you're excited to see my versions of it as well. If you feel so inclined, hit that subscribe button and check me out on my other social media handles. Thanks, and I'll see y'all in the next one.